Good morning, everyone. Today we will start with a new chapter of class 11th biology. The name of the chapter is seed dormancy and seed germination. The main objectives that we will cover in this chapter includes seed dormancy and quiescence, what are the causes of seed dormancy and what are the methods to break seed dormancy. Along with this, we will come to know what are the advantages of quiescence and seed dormancy, seed germination, types of seed germination, senescence and abscission. Suspension of growth in seeds. Seeds normally do not germinate as soon as they are formed. They remain dormant, that is, a period of suspended growth. The suspension of growth before germination could be due to external environmental factor, that is called as exogenous control, or it can be due to internal control, that is endogenous control. Normally, every viable seed is capable to germinate and give rise to a new plant. However, sometimes germination of the seed is suspended due to adverse environmental conditions. Quiescence is the condition of the seed when its germination is suspended due to environmental conditions normally required for its germination are not available. And dormancy is the condition of a seed when it fails to germinate even when the environmental conditions usually considered necessary for its germination are available. So we can say that quiescent refers to the suspension of growth due to exogenous control, whereas dormancy refers to the suspension of growth due to endogenous control. In case of quiescence, seeds fail to germinate due to unfavorable environmental conditions that can be harsh or extreme climatic conditions of water, temperature, soil or light. Whereas in case of dormancy, seeds fail to germinate even though favorable environmental conditions are present. Reasons of dormancy could be impermeable seed coat, physiologically immature embryo, or presence of germination inhibitors like abscisic acid, phenolic acid, short chain fatty acids, and coumarins. The moisture content and metabolic activity are very low in most plant seeds. The quiescent seeds germinate when soaked in water under appropriate conditions. However, the dormant seeds do not germinate even under optimum conditions. Seed dormancy. Seed dormancy is a resting stage in which the metabolic activity of the seed is greatly reduced. Dormancy is a state of inhibition of growth of the seed due to some internal causes. The following are some main causes of seed dormancy. Hard seed coat. Presence of hard seed coat causes dormancy as it is impermeable to water and gases and mechanically restricts the growth of embryo. The seeds of families like Fabaceae and Solanaceae have a very hard seed coat which is impermeable to water. These seeds are unable to germinate due to failure of water to penetrate the hard seed coat. Seeds of some plant like xanthium are permeable to water but impermeable to gases. Then also the seeds won't grow. Actually, water is required by seed for the hydrolysis of food and also for the transportation of this hydrolyzed food from endosperm to the embryo. And gases are required for respiration. So if food and respiration won't occur, then there will be no germination of embryo. Optimum temperature. Optimum temperature is the temperature at which enzymes work their best. As we know, during germination, there are number of metabolic processes that are undergoing. So if enzymes will get their optimum temperature, then only they will work best and the seed will be able to germinate. The next is growth inhibitor. Some plant produces certain chemical compounds which inhibit seed germination. These inhibitors are found in the pulp of fruit containing seeds, seed coat or even embryo. Seeds of tomato, for instance, fail to germinate if treated with the juice of its own fruit. Next is specific light requirement. Light is required by seeds for its proper germination. Immaturity of the embryo. Some seeds, as of several orchids, fail to germinate due to partial development of the embryo at the time of their dissemination. These seeds germinate only when embryo development is complete. Methods to break seed dormancy. Seed dormancy can be overcome by weakening the seed coat in number of ways in various seeds. By soaking the seed in water. By soaking the seed in water, the seed coat becomes soft and it ruptures very easily so that radicle and plumule can easily emerge out. The next method is by exposing the seeds to certain enzymes. These enzymes hydrolyzes the pectin, hemicellulose and cellulose of the cell wall of the cells of seed coat that results in softening of seed, and the radicle and plumule can easily emerge out of that. Some seeds are dormant because of impermeability of seed coats to water or gases. Mechanical rupture of the seed coat is sufficient to break the dormancy in these seeds. Scarification can be done by using knives, files, and sandpaper. Some chemical methods are also used for the process of scarification, where chemicals like alcohol dissolve the waxy layer of seed coat and make it permeable. Soil microorganism. Microorganism also dissolves the cellulose content of the seed coat and results in the softening of seed coat or makes holes in the wall of seed coat. Seed dormancy can also be broken by lowering the concentration of chemical growth inhibitor. Exposing the seeds to alternating temperature like chilling results in breaking the seed dormancy. In seeds of many temperate species, dormancy can be overcome by the low temperature treatment, and that process is called as stratification. In some cases, subjecting seeds to low and high temperature alternatively breaks dormancy. Some seeds have an absolute requirement of light to germinate, and in some the temperature may also interact with light in seed germination. The red region of the spectrum is found to be the most effective in promoting seed germination in lettuce seeds, whereas far red radiation inhibits germination. Seed germination. Seed germination is defined as the sum total of all the activities that takes place during which a baby plant which is present inside the seed converts into a seedling. Germination is a stage in the life cycle of a flowering plant when the embryo from a seed develops into a seedling. On germination, seed give rise to a seedling which eventually matures into a plant. The embryo grows to form shoot and root, while cotyledons or endosperm provides nourishment to the growing embryo. The process involves considerable amount of metabolic activities. The first step in the germination is imbibition or uptake of water by the dehydrated seeds. It causes the seed to swell and facilitate bursting of the seed coat. The growth of the embryo is resumed. Enzymes present in the embryo becomes activated and new proteins are synthesized. This is also accompanied by cell extension and cell division. The embryo utilizes the food stored in the cotyledons or in the endosperm until it becomes fully independent. Thus, the consecutive event which brings a dry quiescent seed in response to water uptake, a rise in general metabolic activities, and initiates the formation of seedling from the embryo is known as germination. Germination may also be defined as protrusion of embryonic axis from the seed to resume growth. It is actually awakening of the dormant seed. Conditions necessary for seed germination. Here are some important requirements which are essential for a seed to germinate into a seedling and to a plant. Water. Water is extremely necessary for the germination of seeds. Some seeds are extremely dry and need to take a considerable amount of water relative to the dry weight of the seed. Water plays an important role in seed germination. It helps by providing necessary hydration for the vital activities of protoplasm. It provides dissolved oxygen for the growing embryo. It softens the seed coat and increases seed permeability. It also helps in rupturing of seed and also converts insoluble food into soluble form, that is actually the hydrolysis of food that is stored in the cotyledon and endosperm. Along with that, it also helps in transportation of that dissolved food from cotyledon or endosperm to the developing embryo. Next is temperature. For a seed to germinate, it requires moderate temperature of around 25 to 30 degrees Celsius. Quite obviously, different seed requires different optimum temperatures. Optimum temperature is the temperature at which enzymes works their best. So optimum temperature is required by seed to germinate for the exact functioning of enzymes. There are some seeds which require special requirement, either lower or higher temperature between 5 to 40 degrees Celsius. Oxygen is necessary for germination since aerobic respiration is a physiological requirement for germination. Most seeds germinate well in air containing 20% oxygen. Mobilization of reserve food during seed germination. Chemical composition of the seed is an important factor which determines germination of seed and early growth of the seedling. The metabolic rate of a dry seed is at the lowest level. As soon as the dry seed imbibes water, its activities are revived and the seed is regenerated. Germination is an energy requiring process and it depends upon the resurgence of respiration. Increase in respiration is closely associated with the hydration of seeds. During germination, the stored food such as carbohydrates, sugars, etc., lipids, and proteins also are hydrolyzed by the enzymes. Starch present in the storage tissue is normally broken down by alpha and beta amylase. Lipids are hydrolyzed to produce fatty acids and glycerol by lipase. Fatty acids are mobilized by beta oxidation and glycerol become the part of general carbohydrate pool present in the seed. Proteins are also hydrolyzed during germination to produce amino acids and amides, which are then translocated from storage tissues to the embryonic axis where they form new proteins. In cereals, scutellum plays an important role in nitrogen metabolism. It acts as an intermediary between the endosperm and the growing embryo. The scutellum is capable of hydrolyzing polypeptides by means of peptidase present in it. Nucleic acid content in the storage tissue hardly changes during germination. However, both DNA and RNA content of the embryonic axis increases during germination. So you can see here, this is the eludian layer which is present in the maize seed. This is scutellum and this is the growing embryo. Now, during seed germination, the alpha amylase converts starch into sugars, which will be translocated from here into the growing embryo. This all is controlled by a special hormone, growth hormone, that is gibberellins. Kinds of germination. There are two kinds of seed germination depending on whether the cotyledons are pushed above the ground or remains below the ground. That is apical germination and hypogeal germination. There is one more special kind of germination that we will also discuss, that is viviparity. Hypogeal germination. Hypogeal germination is the kind of germination in which cotyledons remains below the ground. It occurs due to rapid elongation of epicotyle, that is the region between plumule and the cotyledons in case of baby plants. For example, pea, wheat, maize, rice, gram and groundnut, they all undergoes hypogeal kind of germination. Let's discuss one example of hypogeal germination, that is pea plant. Here in this case, the seed imbibes water, swells up considerably and the seed coat bursts. The radicle come out first through the micropyle, forms the root system. Thereafter, the epicotyle elongates and pushes the plumule upward, which forms the aerial shoot. The cotyledons, however, remains under the soil and gradually dries up and wither away. Next is apigeal kind of germination. In this kind of germination, the cotyledons comes out of the soil surface. In such seeds, the hypocotyle, that is a part of embryonic axis between mesocotyle and radicle, elongates, pushes the plumule out of the soil. For example, in case of bean, castors, cucuminous, they all undergoes apigeal kind of germination. Let's see the example of bean seeds. The seeds swell up by imbibing water and the seed coat bursts. The radicle comes out first and forms the taproot. Then the hypocotyle grows quickly and forms a loop which comes out of the soils and pulls out the rest of the seed. The seed coat is cast off and cotyledons comes up above the soil, open out like two leaves and becomes green. As the cotyledons unfolds, the plumule begins to grow actively and forms young foliage leaves. By the time the first foliage leaf develops, the food material stored in the cotyledon is used up by the developing plant, and the cotyledons gradually shrivel up and falls down. Viviparity. Viviparity is a special kind of germination. It is actually the phenomenon of giving birth to young ones in advanced stages of development. It occurs in mammals and in mangrove plants. In mangrove plants, like in case of Rhizophora, Soneraceae, the seeds cannot germinate on the ground because of the excessive salt content and lack of oxygen in marshy habitat. In such plants, seed dormancy is absent. The embryo of the seed continues growth while the later is attached to the parent plant. Hypocotyle elongates and pushes the radicle out of the seed and the fruit. Growth continues till the hypocotyle and radicle become several centimeters long. As a result, the seedlings becomes heavy. As a result, it breaks its connection with the fruit and falls down on the salt-rich muddy water in such a position that plumule remains outside the saltish water while the tip of the radicle gets fixed to the mud. This protects the plumule. The radicle quickly forms new roots and establishes the seedling as a new plant. The process of attaining maturity with passage of time is generally called aging. The terminal irreversible phase of aging is called senescence. It finally leads to death, that is, permanent cessation of all the vital activities of the organism. Senescence is thus the period between reproductive maturity and death of a plant or a plant part. It may be defined as the combined deteriorative processes in the matured plant which leads to complete loss of organization and function that are natural causes of death. Senescence is marked by general decline in the metabolic activities and decrease in nucleic acid, semi-permeability of cytoplasmic membrane, and the capacity to repair and replace the worn-out cells. Characteristics of senescence. It results in decrease in functional capacity. In case of senescence, catabolism increases the anabolic reactions. The degeneration of cell increases as there is more catabolism as compared to that of anabolism. The mistake of protein synthesis increases due to change in gene sequences, that is because of mutations. Type of plant senescence. The plant senescence can be of four types. The first one is whole plant senescence. In this type, there is senescence and death of the entire plant, which usually takes place at the end of reproductive phase. Most annuals shows this type of senescence. The next is top senescence, or it is also known as shoot senescence. In this type, the above ground part of the shoot dies each year after flowering and fruiting, but the underground part survives, which puts out new shoots again next year. This type of senescence occurs in certain perennials like bananas and gladiolus. Next is deciduous senescence. In case of deciduous senescence, all leaves senescence and die, leaving the stem and root alive. In many trees, flowers and fruits also senescence. Deciduous trees like morus and populus shows this kind of senescence. They can survive and tolerate unfavorable season by deciduous senescence of leaves. Then is progressive senescence. It is also called as sequential senescence. In progressive or sequential senescence, the oldest leaf senescence and dies first. The senescence then moves from leaves to the stem and underground part. Most perennial plants shows progressive senescence. The next are the advantages of senescence. It allows old and inefficient organs to be replaced by new young and developing organs. Nutrients are withdrawn from the old aging part of the plant and are directed towards the developing growing parts that needs energy. It leads to bud dormancy and leaf fall during unfavorable condition that reduces the load of work on the plant. It brings about the recycling of nutrient necessary for maintaining growth and development. Abscission. Abscission refers to the process by which leaves and fruits of a plant are shed. The process of separation of leaf, flowers, and fruits from the plant is called abscission. It is essential when these parts are removed that the plant seal off its vascular system to prevent the loss of water and nutrient and to exclude bacterial and fungal spores to grow on the plant. An abscission zone, that is a layer of specialized cells, is formed at the base of each part before it is lost to separate it from the main body. The cells of this layer die and become hardened by deposition of lignin and suberin. So, by the time of leaf or fruit drops, the vascular systems has been sealed off. Abscission is controlled by abscisic acid. Abscisic acid is a growth regulator that is synthesized primarily in the chloroplast. It is a general inhibitor of many processes and it is also known as plant growth inhibitor. The abscission layer forms and hardens under the direction of abscisic acid only. Mechanism of leaf abscission. It takes place at the base of petiole, which is internally marked by a distinct zone of few layers of thin-walled cells arranged transversely across the petiolar base. This zone is called as abscission zone. The cells of abscission layer is separate from each other due to the dissolution of middle lamella and also the primary cellulose wall under the influence of increased activity of the enzyme pectinase and cellulose, which in turn is controlled by ethylene. At this stage, petiole remains attached to the stem only by vascular element, and very soon, due to its own weight and pressure of wind, it is detached from the stem. The broken vascular element are soon plugged with tyloses or gums. Abscission is controlled by abscisic acid, a growth regulator synthesized primarily in chloroplast.
Importance of abscission.
It sheds off the senescent and dead parts of the plant. It also sheds off ripe fruits, which helps in their dispersal and further life cycle of the plant. In lower plants, shedding of vegetative parts such as gamete and plantlets helps in vegetative propagation.
This is all for this chapter. Thank you everyone.